What is up, guys? Let's talk about a question that I got. Should I get a newer, sort of mid-ranger Galaxy A series phone, or should I get an older flagship phone like the Galaxy S10 and the Note 9 here, for example? And I'm not saying these are the best, older flagship phones that you can get or the best mid-rangers. These are just the ones that I like, and these are my sort of like example phones. So let's go ahead and dive into it, and let's go ahead and discuss this. Alright, so let's go ahead and discuss the price on these phones. So something like the A52 is going to cost you anywhere between around for the 4G one, it's like $250 something. It's in that price range. And then for the 5G, they're going for like $400, which is to me a little up there. The A70, a phone like this, is going for $270. The S10, I picked this one up for $240, and then the Note 9 is around the same. So you're in that sort of $300 to mid $250 price range here. So it is a pretty interesting discussion here. So let's go ahead and break it down here. So alright, so let's talk about hardware, because I think that's kind of a standout thing here. So with the A series phones, Samsung's mid-rangers do have like a lot of plastic on them. They're pretty much plastic. They don't usually, some phones you'll see mid-rangers have a glass back or they'll have metal rails. This is just plastic. And with these older flagship phones, these are full glass and metal devices, fully IP certified as well, IP68. So hardware is overall just more solid feeling in the hand. It's going to give you that more premium feel, again, for the same price. Now, again, you could argue and say, well, plastic is more durable. If I drop the A52 5G versus like, the Note 9, the back will crack on this one, and this one will be more durable. Yes, that is definitely something to take into consideration. But overall build quality is just going to feel more premium on these devices here. Alright, so let's go over the pros and cons of the display. So with Samsung's mid-range lineup here, they usually go with Super AMOLED panels. So you have Super AMOLED panels on all of these devices. Where we see the sort of difference here in terms of display quality is going to be really with resolution. So, just looking at all of these displays, color-wise, these are pretty much on point with each other. Where that difference is going to be resolution. So for the older flagship phones, you actually have a 1440p display versus the 1080p panels on these mid-range phones here. And another benefit with just each display is that with the Note 9 especially, there's no punch hole or no notch cutout, which is pretty nice. The rest of these phones have punch holes or a notch cutout. That is also a nice benefit for anti-notch people. And also you do have a slight curve on the S10's display, which sort of gives it that premium feel. Now, a lot of people don't like curves, but it does give it that sort of like premium feel and look compared to a flat display, in my opinion. So what mid-range phones have over older flagship phones is high refresh rate. So the Galaxy A52 5G actually has a 120 Hertz display, and you do not have those on these older flagship phones here. Basically, what that means is that if I am swiping on the A52 versus the Note 9, it just feels overall smoother, especially if I like go to a social media application and I'm just scrolling, and you just notice that smoothness with the A52 with the 120 Hertz versus the 60 Hertz. So that is one thing. And also another benefit of the 120 Hertz is that some games are compatible with 120 Hertz as well, which is nice. But we'll get into gaming a little bit later. But yeah, so definitely the 120 Hertz is something to consider with these mid-range phones. It's really nice that they have that feature. So I do really like that. But overall display quality, I would still go with the 1440p panel, because I'm not a huge social media person. I'm not a huge gamer. So I like to watch content, in the highest resolution form. So I would really go with like, a Note 9 or S10 here, just because I get that option to watching 1440p. So now let's talk about one of the biggest differences is just overall raw power. So we do have Snapdragon 845, 6 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 855, 8 gigs of RAM, and that is on the base model, which is crazy. And then on the A70, we have the Snapdragon 675, 6 gigs of RAM, Snapdragon 750, chip on here with the 6 gigs of RAM. So overall, the older flagship phones are going to be just slightly more powerful when it comes to just overall speed. And not just overall, just the phone feeling smooth, but it really comes down to that gaming power, which you're going to see here. So let's go ahead and just do a quick speed test here. Let's see what results we get. So if we just do a quick speed test, and we'll do the A52 versus the S10 here. Kind of a tie there. Let's try PUBG here, or let's try Temple Run. You can see the S10 sort of just a little bit snappier. It's not anything dramatic, but like I said, nothing dramatic here. Let's try PUBG here. Looks like the S10 got in there slightly quicker. And I want to go ahead and, well, let's do a quick one for the A70. See which one gets in here. Again, almost a tie. It looks like the A70 got it there. Again, Note 9 slightly, so the whole point is that it's gonna feel, older flagship phones are just gonna be just a tad bit snappier than Samsung's mid-range phones. And then depending on which one you get, if you get like something like an A22 or you know, A21s or something like that, then you really feel that speed difference and quality difference here. Which one is going to do PUBG first? Looks like the Note 9. Yeah, so Note 9 got in. So you see that slight speed difference, you know, even though they're older phones. Now, where you'll see the actual power difference is if I go to my settings, PUBG, look, extreme FPS, extreme, I can play in Ultra HD here. Now, if I go and do that on the A52 or even, you know, the A70, it doesn't matter. You can see Ultra, I don't even get extreme on smooth, Ultra, and I can't even go to HDR. Maybe the A70 will do better. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. All right, so you see the dramatic difference in terms of power when we're talking about gaming. The difference is dramatic. You can play at way higher settings, so that is also something to consider. The benefit that you have with these older flagship phones is still getting the flagship features. And what do I mean by that? So with a Note phone, obviously the pen, you get the S Pen here where you can sort of you know, navigate with the pen, and it's a really well done S Pen, and you can do drawing and stuff like that. I really like the S Pen, and just for overall general note taking, you know, you got those little fancy, you know, flagship features that you can play around with. I just really like using this thing for a coloring book, but not just, you know, stuff like the S Pen or whatever. You also have stuff like let me use the S10 for example here. All right, so on here you have things that you don't have on some of these mid-range phones, like Samsung desktop support. You do not have that on mid-range phones here. Secure folders, you should have it on here. I don't remember. Secure folders, I don't think secure folders is on this one. No, it is on here. So you do have secure folders. Things like the Samsung desktop support really won't be on here. And also another thing is these wireless power sharing. That's also sort of like a flagship feature thing. So if I just put the Note 9 down here, I can actually charge my Note 9 with the Galaxy S10. So you can see Boom. So that's also another little flagship feature that you won't get, you know, on mid-range phones as well today. I do want to talk about one advantage that these mid-range phones have over you know, these older flagship phones, and that is software support. So we're on Android 11 on the S10, and I believe Samsung does 3 years of software updates. So, and let me check to make sure, because if the S10 launched with Android, yeah, launch with Android 9, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means it's going to stop getting major OS updates at Android 12, and you still will get security patches, of course, but you won't get 13. So if we look at something like the Galaxy A52 5G, we look and it launched with Android 11. So 11, 12, 13, 14. That means we're getting Android 14 on the A52. So that is also something to think about. If you're somebody that really wants, if you're a software person and you really want the latest of what Samsung's going to offer with the One UI and all that stuff, you will get that on the you know, these mid-range phones. You will not get that on these older flagship phones. And so that is also something to take into consideration, is software support. I wouldn't worry about security, because these phones will still get security patches for a long time. But software support, you're not going to get, like, you know, the OS versions of Android that you would get on the A52 here. Also, these phones have stereo speakers as well. The A52 5G has stereo speakers. So, you know, they're sort of catching up in that regard. I don't believe the A70 does, though. It just got a single 5-ring speaker, but it does sound decent. All of these phones have a headphone jack. Only older flagship phones have wireless charging, so if that's something that interests you, then wireless charging you do have on these devices as well. All of these devices have NFC as well too. So the next thing, or I guess the last thing we need to discuss, is image quality. So as far as image quality, you do get, you know, slightly more cameras on some of these mid-range phones. Like, really, just, I guess we got to pay attention to the A52 since it's one of the most popular. It's a quad camera setup on the A52 here, and it takes really, really great photos. That is one thing that Samsung is doing great with their mid-range. It takes great photos, but are the photos good enough? So we'll just compare it to the S10. Are the photos good enough? Because the S10, yes, it's got a triple camera setup, but it's missing, like, I believe the macro lens on the A52. But that's not really a big thing. We are more concerned with image quality. So the image quality is really not that, it's not like it's dramatically different than on the S10. It's not like it's that much. To me, I think they're more on par than anything. Yeah, they just look super similar. And to me, the S10 kind of, well, yeah, they're too close in terms of quality. That's what I'm trying to, what I'm trying to get to you guys. They're super close in quality. Yeah, they're literally just, they're just too close in quality. That's why I said, using both of these phones, camera quality, yeah, you are missing a macro lens, but that's not a huge deal. Image quality is just way too close for that to be a deciding factor. So if you're like worried about cameras, I wouldn't even really be, I really wouldn't be, you know, choosing over that reason, because the quality is just too close. Also, battery life on these mid-range phones have gotten massive. That is also something to consider. Battery life pretty much on any mid-range phone that Samsung is putting out is just a bigger battery, and it's just lasting longer. So, for example, 4,500 milliamp battery on the A52 5G, and then the same size on the A70. It's a 4,500 milliamp. And then we look at the S10's battery, 3,400 milliamp. And then like the Note 9, hold on, let me pull it up, make sure I don't say the wrong thing. The Note 9 is 4,000 milliamps, so, you know, it's kind of up there, but still, it's not lasting as long as these two phones. Also, you do have the advantage of 5G on Samsung's, you know, budget phones or mid-range phones. The A22 5G and the this one does 5G, so you do not have that option, of course, on older flagship phones. So that is pretty much it. So just to round this all up, just in case anybody got confused. Hardware is going to be better on older flagship phones. You're going to get better features as far as like Samsung desktop support, wireless charging. Also, displays to me are debatable. Do you want a 1440p display or do you want a 120 hertz panel? Something like that. So you have to sort of make your mind up. Headphone jacks are still on board on these devices. Overall, raw power is just, these older flagship phones are going to kill these mid-range phones when it comes to gaming, so it's not even a competition there. Cameras, I would say it's a draw. It's even. So whatever, matters to you most, that's what I would choose off of. I can't say which one is going to be best for you because I don't know like your particular needs. But go with whichever one check off, whichever boxes. Battery life is going to be better on mid-rangers. Just bigger batteries, better battery life. So what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know and I'll catch you guys in the next